Google search is getting worse. AI-generated faces. And ransomware in the state of Maryland.
It's news to me. Welcome back to It's News to Me, where the it is IT and the me is whoever it needs to be. I'm Noah Parker.
I'm Michael Trotter Lawson.
Yes, you are. Oh, I need to say my name.
Yeah.
Sorry, and I am Ben Lawson.
Glad to have you back, Ben.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm glad you guys got desperate enough to ask. I'm
Anytime.
Oh, gosh.
Anytime we get desperate, you'll be here.
I've done everything I could to get, Tyler on the road so much that he could not participate and I'd have a shot. And fortunately, all 9 other people you asked before me were not available. So
10. It was 10
Oh,
people.
10. Sorry,
Yeah.
10 people.
All right, so new hypothetical question. This one requires a little bit of a setup. You won't remember, the classic kind of childish thing of punching somebody whenever you see a Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah.
Punch bugging.
It's not childish. That is a mature, advanced game
Yes.
for, experienced adults.
Well, it's about to get more adult. Not like that.
What do I have to do when I see a punch bug?
Is it like a drinking game? Or are we going We're typically driving when this goes on.
Every time you see a Volkswagen, take a shot.
So, $1 million, but every time you see a punch bug, you have to deck the closest person to you.
Just absolutely
Just
mollywop
with
them.
everything you got, punch them right in the face.
I mean, you get the $1 million for the first person you hit, or do you have to win the game?
Or do you get $1 million every time you punch someone? I need the rules.
No, you get $1 million on the stipulation that every time you see a bug, in this case, it's like a magical thing. You just have to do it. It's not like you can just, lie and not do it afterwards.
What happens if I don't do it?
You just give the money back, or do I get paid up front? How's this work?
How do I...
Well, yeah, you get paid up front, but if you... No, you are compelled to... You will do it. There is no not doing it.
I think this is probably the one where I wouldn't do it, because I'm not a violent person, and I could not just, punch the crap out of people.
Well, I mean, as the only married individual in the room, and someone who travels with his wife on a regular basis, there's no way you can do this. The $1 million aside, A, I don't want to hit my wife. B, I understand the, legal and emotional ramifications of hitting my wife and would never go down that path.
Now, if this was a one-time thing, deck someone as hard as you can for $1 million, sure, in a heartbeat.
Even if it were just a random person?
Yeah, whoever's closest to me right now, I'm ready.
The lean back gag doesn't play on the podcast.
No, not quite. But it's preparation for when we get the video.
There you go.
But yeah, no, I couldn't commit the rest of my life to punching people really hard every time I see a bug.
Plus, it would hurt. I mean, you'd have to
get
in the car and wrap your hands, being prepared for the. Yeah.
Well, there's also,
if no one's with you, do you have to punch yourself?
Wow.
That's I feel like these are the important questions,
That's a good question, because if you're driving by yourself on the road and you see a punch bug, there are still people close to you. You just have to
pull up next to him, roll down your window,
run them off the road.
Yeah,
which is going to result in a fight anyway. So you may as well just follow through.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think this is in any way worth $1 million. But is there a monetary amount that would make it worth it?
Only if there was a parallel monetary amount that I could pay to get myself out of it at some point.
Interesting.
I don't think any amount of money would be worth me just hurting people for the rest of my life because of Volkswagen.
Well, 'cause also eventually you're going to get arrested, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost inevitably.
Well, you're also going to have no friends. Your family's going to
No
disown
one's going to
you.
want to ride with you anywhere or take you anywhere.
Yeah.
You're going to be so lonely.
Yeah. Yeah.
That being said, you don't see nearly as many Beetles as you used to because they don't make them anymore.
Do they not?
No, they discontinued them a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah, they made it. The return is over.
So, as time goes on, it's
What?
less and less likely for you to see them.
Though there are the rules of does the van count? Do other Volkswagen vehicles count?
No,
I mean,
no.
it's
In
just-
this case,
just
it's
Beetles.
Just
the
Beetle.
bugs.
Okay. Because the van's coming back. They're making an electric version of the van. So.
It'll either be really
Okay,
cool or
that'd
really
be cool.
terrible, I think.
Now, how about the reverse, though? Every time you see one, just whoever's closest to you just punches you.
But I get $1 million?
Yeah, you still get the $1 million, but
As hard as they can?
yeah, as hard as they can.
No. I mean, I could, walk the rest of my life around in, a suit of armor, I guess.
Headgear, boxing headgear.
It'd look like I'm always ready to go to the batting cages or something.
Yeah, but you're just one bad turn from being on vacation and realizing there's a reunion rally in the town you're visiting, or a car show, and
You just get beat up.
Yeah,
I think you
bad
just-
things happen.
I think you just have to do your research, You just gotta...
Just imagine a scene where you get out of your car. You're on vacation. You go to Florida or something. You go to this big thing. You get out of your car and you're looking out at the ocean, and then you turn around very slow, and there's 50 bugs there and a mob running at you. That'd just be worst nightmare.
Well, not to mention, after the first couple of shots, instinctively you're going to be compelled to fight back. So
I don't know. I think I'm more
Just-
of a turtler. I just ball up and hope for the best.
no good comes of this. Just no good comes of this.
I don't know. I think I might take that version.
Wow.
I don't...
Well, you'll get the money and
I don't
just
get out that
hide.
much, so-
Exactly. You're going to go into hermit mode and
Well, and also
avoid
the fact
world.
that they've discontinued it means that, there's a good chance that as time goes on,
But remember your clause. You're driving down the road alone. The closest person to you in the nearest car sees a bug and then has to run you off the road and punch you.
Yeah.
well, they have to try. I don't know. It's a lot of money. Maybe if it were 10 million.
I was going to say, it'd have to be just a ridiculously substantial amount of money.
it'd have to be enough to where I could spend frivolously the rest of my life and not have to worry about it at any point. Because otherwise, there's no way it's worth it.
Yeah, not to mention you got to pay for all the dental work. You got to pay for all the new glasses.
Yeah, can I,
Concealer
Can I,
from being
press-
bruised constantly.
Can I press charges and get a bunch of lawsuits to go my way because of this?
I mean, theoretically.
Disturbing.
That is disturbing. Did you see where that lady was suing Kraft Mac and Cheese for $5 million because their package of their 3-minute microwave macaroni was misleading and deceptive advertising because it doesn't account the time that you have to remove the lid and add the sauce? She's suing them for $5 million because of that.
$5 million.
Yeah. And she's
That's a lot
not
of
going to
money.
get beat up the rest of her life by Volkswagen fans.
Well, but she's probably also not going to win.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, that's...
Well, let's be realistic. Too. Kraft's got a guy. I mean, she's going to have some trouble somewhere down the line.
Oh, gosh. Speaking of random things you find on the internet, Google search is getting worse, according to a year-long study that just recently ended. And I don't think this comes as a surprise to anyone, really. I mean, I think anyone that uses search engines on a regular basis can see, there's just so many promoted posts, so many ad-based things that it's just harder and harder to find what you're actually looking for when you go to search something online.
Yeah, but this specific research was about like the products.
Right, but I mean that's that's what trying to search for things to buy online has become one of obviously Google's main kind of verticals in terms of finding or funding and advertising and whatnot. So
Yeah.
That's a major part of it. And I mean those same kind of product things kind of seep into a lot of different search results. Like you're trying to just look into like what's the best like graphics card or what's the best monitor, or like when you were trying to find like microphones and things like that. It's so hard to try and find research on those things that aren't just filled with promotional links. Like half the time when you find like something that's not even half the time, I would say 90% of the time when you find something that's ranking like the top 10 or top 5 or whatever thing on the market, most of the time someone's paying to be on that list,
Yeah.
if not everyone on that list.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I've always I feel like that's not really a new thing that I've struggled with like, getting into a new hobby or something and like trying to find out what the best like stuff to get for that is. And you go to like Google, you get flooded with just so much that it's just kind of like, man, what one of these has got to be wrong.
We're basically though conditioned. I mean, I open Google, I search for an item, and then my finger instantly goes to the scroll wheel on my mouse to sling down. I mean, I just arbitrarily, because I know the first 8 to 10 things are ads that aren't relevant to what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
you just know it's garbage. So
I always find it. I do the same thing. I'll do the same thing when I'm searching for something, and like the thing that I am searching for has an ad that's at the top, but I will scroll down to like the third option that is not
legitimately
advertised version.
Exactly.
I'll do that.
I don't want to give click credit to the ad. But I mean, it's seeped into. I mean, and to your point, you started. None of us are shocked. I mean, no one here thought, "Ooh, major tech company is not going to cave to advertising dollars and embed content."
Yeah.
I mean, I have reached the point where my Gmail account, I have honestly pondered abandoning my Gmail account and going to one of the paid domains that I own, pay for a service, simply because of all of the nonsense embedded garbage that I get in my email. I mean, when you open your email and it's not, there's a built-in spam filter that tackles the stuff that I declare as spam, but then Google overrides that and embeds ad emails that I can't overcome, which is frustrating at every level.
And almost every single one of those has like an unsubscribe option, but it's like, climbing Mount Everest to get to it.
Well, and what you do, I mean, there is statistical data that shows for about 75% of the stuff you click unsubscribe for, they just take that as we validated your email address is valid and exists. So therefore, yes, we will take you off this one list and add you to 76 others.
Yeah.
So,
of course,
hate that.
It's I don't know. The internet it kind of sucks. I don't know. I mean, it's. I don't know. Obviously, it's one of those things where you can debate basically endlessly about whether or not the internet as a whole does more harm than it does good. But like, it's I don't know. It gets frustrating, especially. I mean, the three of us use obviously the internet, but I mean probably Google multiple times every day just for different things.
Well, but I mean, think about all of the content this podcast have covered in terms of paid services versus free services and the implications of that.
Yeah.
And that's where we are with the internet today. I mean, the things that we like, that we use regularly, We are willing to pay to remove the ad content, to streamline the interface, to do these things. The internet's just not free anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up. You guys did not grow up because you're young, but I mean, I remember life, BI, before internet, after internet, and I remember the initial interactions with the internet were very easy because, I mean, I remember when Google IPO'd. I remember when Google existed, when it became a thing. I remember life, pre-Chrome and all those things, and just to watch what's happened in the last 10 years. Largely good things. I'm glad they have money to advance the technologies and give us the tools that we have, but we pay for those tools. And I mean the adage that nothing is free. If the service is free, then what you're honestly selling is your metadata. You're selling your interaction. So that's your currency on the internet. So we just have to either be prepared for that or be prepared to pay to avoid that.
I mean, I think at this point we've we've reached a point where the decision has kind of been made for us. I don't think there is enough demand for. I think if Google were at any point to just kind of have an ad-free tier, I don't think it would. There's a situation where the average person would ever see that as worth it, despite how much they use Google.
Yeah. I mean, unless it was like, if it turned into like a thing where it was like, you search up something and then it's like, oh, okay, you can see the results after you watch this ad. That would be awful.
Yeah.
Google, don't write that down.
Yeah, pre-roll ads for your search results.
I saw a thing that was someone put out a tweet and they were like, hey, YouTube, can you not put ads in front of like medical videos because my grandma choking on this piece of food doesn't want to wait till I watch about this ad. And then YouTube replied like, oh, sorry for the inconvenience. YouTube Premium is this much. And I was like, man, it could have been, just a fake thing, but it was
still.
It's not too far off from something that could actually happen.
Yeah. I don't know. To be fair, we do have 911 for a reason.
Oh, I mean, I know.
We have actual emergency services beyond.
I mean,
Google
if it were
YouTube.
like someone choking on something, you need to learn how to do the Heimlich. I mean, I guess you could call 911. They could probably explain it to you too, but a lot of people don't. First instinct is, oh, I should Google this. Which is kind of scary.
Maybe that's more of a society.
That's a problem, by the way. That is a serious problem of, I have a medical issue. Let me know. They're doctors.
But, I don't know. This is... I mean, this article that spawned this conversation talks not just about... advertising, but also just SEO optimization.
Yeah,
which
is a complicated beast.
It's very complicated, and we spent quite a bit of time trying to optimize our own website in terms of search engine optimization, and it's just kind of a facet of this new online world. And the fact of the matter is, it is so important to, these online companies that they do show up naturally first in these search results and whatnot, that it's basically, I don't know how you would ever fix that as a Google or as any kind of search engine. It's...
What fix, like, the certain...
Like, how could you ever prevent people... Like, beyond ads, how do you prevent people from trying to game your...
Oh, well, I mean,
your engine,
with Google, they're just like, I mean, they constantly change all their, like, algorithms and stuff. Whether it's little changes or big changes, but they're constantly updating, and there's like forums upon forums of SEO crap that people, keep up with and constantly change their websites to follow what they assume to be the new thing to make it the best. But it's just like it's an ever-evolving thing, so that's how they keep people from...
Well, I mean, when you get into the technical weeds of this, I mean, SEO for years and years and years was driven to how you managed the HTML, how you managed the header information, the meta tags, all that good stuff to be picked up by the crawlers, Google's tools that go around and read the code and say, okay, this is about this and this and this. AI is going to solve this problem, or could solve this problem. I don't know if it's going to solve this problem, but Google has the option to simply say, AI engine, go consume the website as it is presented to the end user. Don't worry about the header information, don't worry about the meta tags. Go consume the content and then index accordingly. I can see a world, Google, ponder this, I'm sure you already have, where we have the option to pay $29.99 a month for a non-ad embedded search experience based on AI input.
Yeah.
Microsoft's heading down that path with Copilot and some of these things.
Yeah.
So, the question is going to be, can they make enough off that subscription service to offset the billions of dollars they're making in ad revenue through embedded content?
I just wonder, at that point, though, if it's just based on, an AI consuming the website and indexing it and then deciding what's best. What parameters would they use? And if you are paying a monthly fee to, be kind of in that tier, how did they decide who goes above others? And if that many people do it, you're going to be on, you could still be on, the third or fourth page of...
Well, I mean, at that point, I think you take away what I would like to see is a non-paid-for interface. I want to know if I am searching for, superior way to grill a hot dog. I don't want, Bob's Hot Dog Stand to be able to buy that first spot. I want to know who has the best site to teach me how to grill a hot dog most effectively.
I got you. Okay.
And then go down that path.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just tough because, how do you... it's hard to quantify the best way to grill a hot dog,
Well, no. There's a dump truck load of subjectivity that's going to be involved in all of this, but this is how the internet started. I mean, this is how we developed meta tags and all these things. Tell me what your site's about.
Yep.
Your effectiveness to, convey your message dictated where you landed in a search or a search list. Okay. So build a good site that tells who you are and what you do and do it effectively, and we'll see where you are.
Yeah. Bingo, bango, bongo.
Yeah. I don't know. Time will tell how how well they're able to kind of combat human SEO spam and things like that. Because I mean, on the other end, you also got Google obviously is not the only person who can use AI. You're gonna have.
And there's so much just AI content flooding the internet.
Everything. Yeah.
Everything.
I mean, yeah.
Everywhere. I mean, how many commercials have you seen for services now, whether it's Slack or somebody else, that we have integrated AI so you don't have to pay attention to your meetings any longer. We'll write the recap for you and tell you what it was about.
Oh, there's that one AI software that'll, I think it's from NVIDIA, and it'll even if you're not looking at your camera, it'll make your eyes look like they're looking at the camera. I don't know. That stuff creeps me out.
Yeah, and there's a whole circular argument to my postulated solution in that at some point you're going to ask AI to write your website so that it will like it and move it to the top of the search. So
it's just a never-ending battle of.
It's rough, but I don't know. Worrying about it doesn't do a whole lot of good.
But for everybody that's concerned and you're trying to, search for the best managed service provider out there, just pick up the phone and call us. We'll tell you all about it. Don't worry about our AI-generated content, which none of it's AI-generated. Yeah, every word that Michael puts out there, at least the way he describes it to us, is something he wrote. So.
Everything at least has a human touch, right?
Just code for he proofread it first.
Gosh. Okay, so moving on to.
Well, I mean, if Michael wrote it, it'd also be artificial intelligence, right? I'm just kidding.
Ooh.
I didn't mean that. Your intelligence isn't artificial; it's real.
Thanks.
I like to think that it's genetic.
Appreciate that.
Genetic intelligence.
An interesting story I saw today
Turn left quickly.
in the New York Times. It's also AI related. Talking about how easily, or well, rather not easily, people can actually recognize AI generated faces. Did you all
Take that test?
Yeah.
No.
I did, and I failed miserably.
Really?
Well, I started to take the test. I looked at the first few, then I read the article, then I went back and looked at them based on the content that said, here's where AI has difficulty, and started looking for those flaws.
Yeah.
And then I probably was still less than 50% effective.
Really?
The ear thing was, so in the article that Michael's referring to, you mentioned the fact that AI still has a problem with ear symmetry and making them look identical but still natural. And so I was looking at ears. I was spending a lot of time staring at ears, wondering, how accurate was this? And then some of the pictures were side profiles, and I couldn't see both ears, so I was just out of luck. But I mean, it's eerie. It's difficult.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, not to toot my own horn, but I got 90% without reading the article. So I just, but I also, I've used AI and AI image generation, quite a lot, probably more than the average layperson. And I don't know, for me, I think what helped the most, and even this wasn't present in all the pictures, but if you look right at the eyes, in AI generated pictures of human faces, the little reflections in the eyeball don't line up often in AI generated pictures. Like little white spots you see reflected in a person's eye from the light sources around them. They should be relatively in the same spot.
Well, it should be perfectly symmetrical in terms of the physics of the light. Yeah,
exactly. They should look the same in an actual picture, but they don't often in AI pictures. So that's part of how I got it. And also, I don't know. There's something about the teeth as well. Not all the pictures were like teeth smiles, so that didn't help all the time either. But there was something about. And it was because I spent so much time in the dentist chair recently. But I don't know, something about the teeth and some of them also tipped me off.
Is it wrong that I am sitting here wondering if you should have renamed or reled this discussion with the title, How to Determine If You Are in the Matrix? I mean, that's where my mind goes to when I think about how do you identify the artificial? But I mean, there's a real world implication to this. I mean, in all seriousness, within the last hour, I've been writing some content and reviewing some stuff for some of our clients. And one of the things we're working on, that I'm actively working on, is building AI policy for a lot of our folks. How do you deal with AI? How are you going to use it? How are you going to use it effectively? How do you avoid the pitfalls of it? How do you deal with the security implications of it? And one of the things in terms of personnel and cyber risk to folks is the threat of AI and how effectively AI can socially engineer. How do you identify deepfake content to know if it's real or not? I mean, clearly it's a challenge
Yeah.
I mean, and then, here we are in an election cycle where we already know that. I mean, I think you guys have already talked about that. I mean, that's a huge issue of what a candidate's going to be purported to have said.
Yeah.
It's difficult. So now I'm just going to be staring at eyeballs and ears. That's what I'm going to spend all of my time with.
And teeth.
And teeth.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very important to just, with most things you see on the internet, just be very skeptical. Especially, I don't know. I guess in my view, we have trusted sources for a reason. I would say, most of your kind of mainstream media sources, as much as people give them crap, they're probably, CNN, Fox, they're probably not going to generate, blatantly, like AI generated fake news.
So I'm not accusing anyone at CNN or Fox of anything, but your analogy is flawed. The number one trusted source for in-depth sports reporting for the last 50 years has been Sports Illustrated. And in the last 6 months, Sports Illustrated has been accused of publishing volumes of AI-generated content within their website and print media.
Well, content written by AI, not like there's a difference between like.
But they faked it. They said a human wrote this and a human didn't write it.
Right. Look, but that is different than what we're talking about here.
Correct. I mean, they didn't create a fake athlete, and
they didn't. Well, more actually, they didn't create like a fake picture of like
Johnny Baseball.
This isn't really about Johnny Baseball. It's more about like creating like a fake picture of like Tom Brady reporting to like Chargers training camp or something like that. So actual fake news. Like fake news is a term that gets thrown around a lot, but like and there is still false reporting and whatnot. But like.
I can see the point, but it does show that AI can penetrate and potentially corrupt these institutions. And for the record, ESPN on a regular basis shows me a player in a new uniform that hasn't put that uniform on yet because they've got a really good graphics department.
Yeah,
so I'm just
they have a good Photoshop department and whatnot. But like that's always with these. It's always with like
Bill Belichick in the Falcons hat doesn't exist yet, but they've got one. They've got one. It's ready. There's a Falcon sleeveless hoodie that is going to be superimposed on his body at some point.
I feel like this is getting away from me a little bit. I think the point is be very skeptical of anything that comes out about someone that seems, at all out of pocket.
Well, and let me turn this left a little bit too. And this is a personal pet peeve of mine, and I'm sure I will offend a lot of people out there. So just buckle up. And please, though I believe our content is very sound and very accurate, I really hope the world is not using this podcast as its primary source for news as it pertains to IT. But we have a society now that, to your point, no longer trusts CNN or MSNBC or Fox News or any other mainstream well-established organization and believes that social media is the primary and most accurate source of news in the world today. And that is where this content lands. The world of deepfakes and nonsense and AI-generated gibberish is social media. It is where the fake news is proliferated on a daily basis. It is the reason TikTok is a trending entity for the 2024 election. I mean, that's where we are.
Right. Well, I mean, we have never published anything that's not backed in fact.
No, I know you guys do, but I'm just saying. Anyone out there listening to this podcast, we are referencing legitimate news sources. but we should not be your source for legitimate news. Go to the legitimate news source. Come to us for comment and witty banter and banter and those types of things. I'm just saying, podcasts and social media are not where you go get your news. You go get your news somewhere else, then you go talk about it in social media and interact with your fellow humans.
Right.
Fellow fellows.
And AI generated chatbots. Sorry, pet peeve. Stepping off my soapbox. I will go back to playing video games on my iPad.
All right. Our last story of the day doesn't seem technology-related news on the face of it, but I find it very interesting. This is... there is an ongoing controversy with the Maryland Board of Nursing, and specifically their ability to hold nurses, yes, but primarily midwives in the state accountable. And I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, midwives are not necessarily medical professionals. Oftentimes they are, but they don't always have to be, who are brought in to help deliver babies, children, usually at homes.
Oh, okay, that helps.
So they're kind of like Uber Eats for babies.
Well, I was confused because I thought these were just the wives of people that have been married 3 times, and this is the one
in the middle.
Midwives are not a universally ubiquitous thing. There are people who don't know what a midwife is.
No, it's a valid explanation.
It's just when the person you're married to is all right.
So, there is a backlog of literally thousands of complaints against nurses and midwives in the state of Maryland. And, I specifically read a Washington Post article referencing a specific couple that lost a child because of malpractice by a midwife that they hired. And the real point of issue here is that nothing has happened to hold this midwife accountable, and as far as we know, she is still
midwifing,
acting and operating in the state of Maryland. The technology-related aspect to this is a lot of their problems, a lot of this backlog is sourced back to a major ransomware breach that happened to the Maryland Department of Health in 2021. So, almost 4 years ago now, or almost 3 years ago now, rather. And they are still dealing with the ramifications of this ransomware attack. Because, I mean, this... And, the backlog existed prior to this. I mean, this original complaint that's referenced in, this article that came out, towards the end of last year, articles written in 2023, they lodged their complaint all the way back in 2019. And they actually recently received a letter from the Department of Health saying that their original complaint was lost in the ransomware attack. Jeez. They just didn't have it anymore.
Well, but point of contention here, okay, ransomware, horrible thing, horrible impact to organizations on a regular basis, and I think we need to spend time talking about that. But filed a complaint in 2019, ransomware attack in 2021.
Oh yeah,
for 2 years they didn't do anything.
Oh yeah.
Oh my bad, we lost it after we had it for 2 years.
Yeah. No, I mean there are certainly problems that run way deeper than just what happened because of the ransomware attack. But obviously, the ransomware aspect of it is what's most relevant to us as an IT company, as a security-focused IT company.
I mean, that's a piece of it. Okay, here, climbing on my soapbox, IT security guy in the room. There's like 1,000 things that went wrong here, aside from the socio-political bureaucratic nonsense that led to them not acting for 2 years.
Yeah.
You should have a retention mechanism. You should have, email archiving, because I'm assuming this complaint probably came through email or a form came through email through some automated process. You should have log retention and correlation to say, hey, I backed this stuff up and I know what happened and I acted on it appropriately. And I have triggers for major alerts and major threats, and there should be a criticality list for these types of complaints. There's 1,000 things that went horribly, horribly wrong. But stick to the ransomware piece. And we mentioned this before we started the podcast. I'm going to mention it now. There's horrible, horrible irony in the fact that over the last 2 years, the trend has been it has taken approximately 9 months for the average organization to detect a breach or compromise of their network. Bad guys linger around for the gestation period of a human child before you realize that they're in your environment and that you can actually get them out. Imagine the damage that can take place in that period of time.
Well, I mean, I think part of the point of this story is we don't have to imagine in this case.
Well, exactly. Well, and we do, to your point, we get hung up on the financial impacts of this. A human life was lost. This is not the first time ransomware has caused human death. It's happened with a lot of hospitals, a lot of other issues.
And I mean, obviously this, the Post does what a lot of news organizations do. They make it a more human story by focusing on one very specific example. But I mean, this has happened to a lot of people in the state of Maryland.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
well, not just in the state of Maryland, but yeah.
Well, yeah, not just in the state of Maryland, but that's what, we're talking about here. This one specific midwife has had, many other complaints prior to, the issue at focus in the article. There's probably been, hundreds of deaths. I mean, not even just from midwives. You got to think this is all forms of nursing malpractice in the state of Maryland. They have extended the period that they will basically allow complaints to exist without acting on them to 540 days.
Jeez.
Well, and there are statute of limitation issues that come into play here too.
Right.
Cynically, I'm sitting here wondering the state of Maryland fake a ransomware attack because they were just so far behind in claims that they wanted to restart the clock. But I mean, that's the cynical Ben coming out. It's horrible. It's disturbing. It's concerning, and it's happening every day.
I mean, it is just, I don't know. It's absurd because. Really, you've got to just see the impact here and think, hopefully other healthcare organizations can see, how crippled an entire state's healthcare system was. Because I mean, obviously, the ransomware attack was not just the Board of Nursing; it was the entire Maryland healthcare system, and for an entire state's population with hundreds of thousands of people, for their healthcare system to be decimated by ransomware. I mean, that's just there has to be a higher level of
due diligence,
and
due care,
diligence in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it is not a matter of if; it is a matter of when for every organization,
right?
From the DoD to the mom and pop across the street, everyone is going to experience some type of cyber attack, some type of compromise. So many organizations look at the cost, the implications of providing proper defense, proper backup, proper archiving, proper cybersecurity controls, all the things that they should be doing, all the things that are already, by the way, outlined from a federal and state government regulatory and compliance requirements guidance, and from HIPAA for all things associated with medical, and PCI for all things associated with, because those medical offices all took, I guarantee you, co-pays via credit card, so there were other security controls due to PCI, to the payment card industry. Not to mention every state's got a set of breach laws that they have to adhere to and implications around that. We have good regulation, good regulatory guidance, good laws to help govern how security should be set up. But they look at that, they virtually or mentally pull the dice out of their pocket, roll them and say, yeah, the ROI is just not there. This costs a lot of money. We'll wing it and see how far we can get.
Yeah.
And we see the real-world implications of this. I mean, the average organization, the average breach in the U.S. last year cost $9.4 million.
Yeah.
That puts a lot of folks out of business. Just having the tools to identify that compromise, if you can take that 9-month window and shrink it to 7 months, if you can just carve a couple of months off of the window of knowing somebody's in your network, organization on average can save almost $1.2 million.
Wow, right.
But people don't care. People don't budget. People turn a blind eye.
Yep.
And this is what happened. People die.
Yeah.
Horrible things happen.
I think it is just absurdly irresponsible for a healthcare system to not take that type of due diligence. Because I mean, I don't know. I do. It is one thing for a company like, I don't know, even like.
See, here I'm going to stop you. You're having a hard time thinking of one because everybody should take it seriously.
Well, look, everyone should take it seriously, but I'm trying to think of a company that, let's just say a random technology company that just makes PCs, to not call anyone out. It's one thing for them to take like a massive financial hit and, for them to not be able to make PCs the next day or even close down or something like that. There is a much more substantial, I would say, there is not a price that you can put on protecting, human lives.
Yeah, I mean, to your
that
point,
are at risk, when a healthcare system gets taken down by ransomware.
Yeah, arbitrary PC manufacturer did not take the Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah.
These folks did. Or at least some of them did. There are doctors in that organization that said,
some of them took the Hippocratic
at first
Oath.
we will, yeah, exactly. They should have said, do no harm. And the reality of do no harm is, let's not harm anyone by not taking the appropriate steps to protect this information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the sad thing is, and we are in a, capitalistic society, and that's a good thing on a variety of levels, but most of the time, large and small medical practices make these decisions because it impacts the bottom line. These folks are not nonprofits. Or if they are nonprofits, they have a budget and they're trying to protect that budget. And that includes, raises and benefits and all the things that go along with the humans making these decisions. But yeah, we're making financial decisions that are putting people at risk. And that shouldn't be what it is. That shouldn't be our focus.
Well, I can just tell you right now, if I did take that $1 million for the punch bug, where people punch me every time, I would not want to be in Maryland.
Very true.
Come on, woo!
Thank you for listening to It's News to Me. If you enjoyed this content and would like to see or hear more like it, check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@BurkIT or go to our website at burkitc.com. Our theme music is Big City Lights by Icholix. Come back in 2 weeks to hear more of me, Noah, and Tyler in the next episode of It's News to Me. In the meantime, keep your data secure and your mind sharp. I guess a doctor probably couldn't take that bet, right? Even if they got the one that punched them, that's hurting people's knuckles. So, that's doing harm in a different way. Could be doing psychological harm for the harm that they're doing to you.
There's probably a lot of people that would want to punch some doctors.
And they've got malpractice insurance, so they can.
They'll be fine.
They've got a legal shield there somewhere.
Well, but I don't think malpractice insurance extends to getting punched by someone.
Depends on what causes the punch, I think.
They might coerce other people to do it so that they have more patients.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there's an orthopod that's dying to take that bet.
They're the
He's like,
ones
I can
handing-
fix those hands all day
They're the ones
long.
handing out the $1 million.
Dentists, too. Yeah.
Dentists, oh yeah.
It's them. They're funding this.
Oral surgeons, all kinds of folks.
This is just an investment for medical.